Good morning, everybody. Today is the day we are going to assemble the breeding flocks for next year. Or yeah, I should say this year. And we have a special guest today. It's Abraham. He doesn't like to be on camera so much, so he will probably be more behind the scenes. But we will both give our perspectives and our ways in setting up the breeding flocks. So I hope you learned something today. So we've got all the red chickens for the red Mottled project. Here we have the first generation. It's Italian red bantam cross with Ancona bantam, black Mottled. Next to him we have his son. He's an F5 from a Wyandotte line. So the original father was a Wyandotte bantam and the mother was an Ancona bantam. So the mother is over here from this one. That's this hen. So she's the F4. Then in the middle we have the first generation from the Yokohama cross. The father is also the F5, so you could say that this is the F6. Then on his right we have, you could say, the Australian red Ancona bantam. He came from Abraham, and the father was a blue mottled rooster and one of the red hens. But those were the ones that got killed by the stone mark. But we have some legacy, and this is still a hen from cross between Sussex bantam and
Wyandotte bantam.
Wyandotte bantam, yes. Here we have a wheaten mottled hen, some Yokohama crosses, and also another wheaten mottled hen. It's a daughter from this one. A red hen and the first red mottled hen. So now we're going to start with examining the roosters. I'm actually not quite sure if I'm going to use this rooster, because of course I have already used him in quite a lot of projects for many years now. He's now 4 years, or it's his 4th year. What do you think, Abraham?
You were discussing something about the tail not being that...
Yeah, the tail is also quite short, so it's not something I really like to see for an Ancona bantam.
What is good? The comb looks...
The comb is... it's not perfect, but it's very good. His wattles are good too. Earlobes are okay. The eye color is good too. Nice bright red. It should be orange, of course, but maybe because of the red gene it might look reddish.
Enhance the red.
Apart from that, he's
long broad feathers in his wing.
Yeah.
Leg color, because of his
of course
age, he's older, so...
Actually, as you can see, he has black markings, just like the pure Anconas. So as you can see, we have some black markings. It's not that obvious, but yeah, we have to keep moving forward, so I'm not sure if I'm going to use him this year. We have a lot of options, so...
Let's take a look at his son, no?
Yes, let's do that. This is the F5, the rooster. So his mother was mottled and his father wasn't, but he carries mottles in his genes, so I think this is mottled.
You even see markings in his neck feathers.
Yeah, that's actually quite nice in his neck. But it's not, that obvious. Oh, here it's
quite obvious on his chest.
He does have the black lowers.
A lot more black than what his father.
Yes, a lot more black. But as you can see, when you cross him with the Yokohama bantam, it goes away.
Or it will turn blue.
Or it's blue, yeah, light blue.
Because the Yokohama might be splash, eh?
Yes, it's not like blue, it's like more splash blue. Let's take a look at his head. His comb, it's not like bad that you don't want to breed with it, but it's not something you're looking for. His wattles are okay. Earlobes the same. A little bit white in his face, but that's not really an issue. His leg color is nice and yellow, I think, especially for this time of the year. He's turning 2 this year. I think we might combine him with maybe the wheaten hens. the Wheaton Mottled.
Or because he has so much black, you would prefer to put him against one of the Yokohama bantams?
Yeah,
or add in a
but
white leghorn with dominant white, so the black turns into white?
that also might be an option, yes. But then we need even more chickens. But you do have to keep in mind, he's the father of all the Yokohama bantam crosses. And he's quite big, so are his daughters and his son. I would like to keep them a bit smaller, but in some ways I do prefer this rooster over his father because he has a longer tail. It's also more horizontal. It's not like in a wide angle. It's not like 90 degrees,
Yeah.
but more
Flat.
more horizontal, yeah, more flat. I would say we'd combine him with this and her daughter. Because I believe this is also a combination that I've never did before. She's also quite small, as you can see. And we have a daughter over here.
Also carrying a lot of black, the daughter.
She has more black, yeah. But these two don't have a lot of black. Only in their tail. Of course, these are already red. She's already red mottled. It's not that good defined as a pure Ancona, but we're getting there. So in combination with this rooster, might give us something to work with the next year. But let's take a look at the other roosters. My favorite Yokohama bantam rooster, and actually from the very beginning, because take a look at his breast. I mean, that's red mottled, right, Abraham?
It appears to be so.
Yeah. This was the only rooster that had this. All the other ones had a clear red chest.
Without the mottling.
Yeah, no mottles at all. And also in his neck, as you see. He also has a lot of mottles, even in his wings. And here you can indeed see the blue.
It's not
So as
really
you-
picking up on camera, but
As you suspected, and in his wings.
what I see, and might be a concern when you're breeding for the Jubilee or porcelain varieties, is that there's a big amount of completely white feathers in his wing,
Yeah, that's true.
which might be considered as a fault.
That's indeed something you don't want
We
when you're
can
breeding
be-
Anconas.
We can be that severe, I think, for a color that is under construction or a color variety that is
Yeah.
under construction.
As I said, it's of course the first generation from the Yokohama Bantam Cross, so we can't be too picky. Too bad his tail is a little bit dirty, but it was just, white, bluish, no mottles, or at least not that I can see. In his saddle, also some mottles. His comb, of course we don't want we don't want this for an Ancona Bantam. How would you call this comb? It's not a rose comb, eh? You're an
It
expert
looks like
in
a
the,
peak,
in the rose combs.
a pecan, actually.
It's more the comb
have
from
to
the
come.
Yokohama Bantams, right? He was also one of the few that had wattles, because Yokohama Bantams don't have wattles. And they're already quite big, of course, not as big as the previous roosters I showed. His earlobes, already some white in it. His eyes are red, but I'm actually not quite sure what kind of eye color we want for a red mottled. I think red or orange will be okay. No white in his face, that's a good thing too. The leg color, very bright yellow, so that's definitely a good thing. But as you can see, his legs are way too big now. Sadly, he was also one of the biggest Yokohama Bantam crosses, but that didn't make me like him less. So now let's take a look at the last rooster we have. As you can see, this rooster is so small I can just pick it up with one hand. It's almost like a true Bantam. So, some people might say this is an Australian Ancona Bantam. What do you think, Abraham?
I think when it comes to size, that you have a winner in the hand.
Yeah, it's very small.
He's also carrying quite, maybe a little bit too much of the black compared to the godfather, to the starting rooster, or the rooster we started with.
Yeah, but on the other hand, his father was a pure blue mottled one. So he's actually quite, I wouldn't say red, maybe in the saddle it's like pure red. This is like more an orange, like what's the
Gold.
name? Gold, yeah.
Without the red enhancer. Millefleur.
Yeah, a millefleur, that's what I was looking for. But his mother was red, so I'm guessing it will have something to do with the red gene.
Good leg color.
The leg color is very good. It's almost orange. So let's take a look at his head now. Yeah, of course he got into a fight in the cage, as you might have seen. Fault in his comb is that it's like tilting or falling to one side. It's something you want in the hands, but not really in the roosters. However, there are some people that keep lines with roosters that have a comb that's falling to one side to make sure that the hands also have this trait. I personally believe that you don't need to do that. You just want roosters with a big comb, and when the comb of the hands is also big, it will eventually fall to one side. But since we have no real choice, we can't select our best rooster here.
You'll work with it.
We'll have to work with it, yes. The shape of his comb is actually quite good. Almost perfect, actually. You have to make sure that the incisions are pointing to the eye, and that's the case over here. And they are all in proportion to each other, so that's also a good thing. His wattles, the shape is, or was, perfect. Earlobes, it's a little bit yellowish.
Yeah.
Not really a fault, but something to look for. But of course, it's not that bad.
I do like the mottling actually, because the mottling is equally divided over his whole entire body.
Yeah, in terms of mottling, you could say this is almost like a pure Ancona bantam.
Almost no entire white feathers in his wings.
Yeah, no white, not a single completely white. At least on this side. Let's take a look on the other side. No. That's a good thing. Then the big question, which hands are we going to put him with? So, the big plus of this rooster is obvious his size. Of course, I'm a breeder of Ancona bantams, so I will definitely use this one. But the question is, which hands? What do you think, Abraham, would be like the most obvious choice, or?
You know my philosophy when it comes to breeding. I'd prefer to put the small sized bantams together to work towards the perfect size.
Yeah.
And with another line you work towards the perfect tail or color or comb or whatever you like.
Oh yeah.
And then at the end, when we are speaking about a year or 4, you can combine all the traits together, but then with 3 or 4 breeding lines.
Okay.
I think at this point it's impossible to make the perfect combinations, to include everything you need to come to the perfect Ancona bantam red mottled.
That's indeed true. We're not there yet, of course, and we have a lot of options. I would definitely keep the Yokohama bantams together, I think. Like the wheaten mottles and the red hens, you can keep them together, or separate. If you want to be more into the color, maybe we should need to take a look first at the hens.